Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Borkino game video. Today's video is dedicated to buffers and self-buffers. This role is usually for, clan battle, PvP, any situation where you can take advantage of the buffs, alright? So let's go ahead and talk about the little lyrical event and go over some buffs, alright? So one of the characters that I like to point out is definitely Mimi. She's going to be one of the best buffers within the game. Her bunny boost can be constantly spammed, and it's very good to always have an uptime on using it. Let's go ahead and check out how this team pretty much flows. Now, when it comes to teams like with buffers, it's kind of like situational, like I said, because buffers don't have a significant boost like defense breakers, right? So for example, if you can get like a bunny boost like right there off, you can increase your damage maybe by like a couple K. You see, we dealt like 34K. Let's go ahead and remove Mimi and see how much damage that Kaori would do without that UB. Alright, so let's go ahead and change her out for someone else. Let's go back here, take out Mimi, and let's put in someone like June. And June does a defense break, so in some cases our damage might actually increase if we can stack, Makoto's defense break with Mitsuki and June's all at the same time. So we might have an entirely different situation appear here, but just note that Kaori did 34K previously, so let's go ahead and see how much her UB goes, or if she can even get her UB off. Alright, we have a moment right here, and how much did we do? We did 65K, but that was a crit. Obviously, there was a... We're gonna try that one more time, because 65K off of a crit, that doesn't even... you can't even register that as like an actual difference in damage. Yeah, that's a huge, insane difference in damage. Obviously, you can tell with that one, but not every single day that you can get crits, and if you can get a crit within like an actual fight, that's just something where it's like RNG loves you, because getting a crit off of a clan battle, entirely situational, and man, that really backfired on me. Alright, so we did 31K there. Obviously, we didn't have the defense breaks earlier from Makoto, but that's like something that I wanted to see. You can tell like the damage wasn't like a significant boost compared to like a bunny boost, or a defense breaks will cause huger gaps in damage. But I just wanted to showcase where, the bunny boost can sort of help with mitigating some damage, right? Not totally like that much. But let's go ahead and change out this team. We're gonna run Mimi instead of Makoto, just to, well, it's not really a good showcase, because for example, Mimi will do a slight boost. As you can tell, a defense break is definitely going to be more advantageous, just because of the fact that, the boost to the actual damage is way more significant, because defense matters a lot more than, some buffs. Buffs can only do so much at the end of the day, and you have a buff when you have like this little red icon right there. We did 34K, which was the damage that we dealt earlier, within like the actual other fight with like the little teapot looking dude. And that's just because of the fact that we had Mitsuki's defense break, we had like a bunny boost going on, and Kaori usually deals that some amount of damage, right? You can do it again, 34K. It's very consistent, so long as she has like this little red sword icon above her head, it's going to be pretty good damage overall, right? Let's go ahead and jump out of here and put someone in like, we're going to take out Mitsuki, and we're going to put someone in like Makoto, alright? Just so we can sort of see like the differences, or technically we can take out June. Let's put in someone like Miyako. Nozomi is actually another buffer that you can use, but let's go ahead and put someone in like Kokoro. So this team has no defense breaks whatsoever, and this is like something that some people like to run in some situations. But note here that buff, they do stack, but it's much better to stack defense breaks, and you're going to be able to significantly tell how buffs affect characters based off of Kaori's UB, because Kaori's UB usually dealt 34K. You can see we have a bunch of buffs here. Now it only deals 16K, and obviously you can tell like a defense break will make a significant difference, and there's no crit boost or anything. And I know Kokoro does do her attack buff like later on, but we'll have Kaori do her UB again. Let's see how much this deals. It's only 17K, but it pretty much showcases how like that little boost, it went from 16K to 17K. So some buffs, they increase your damage by a little bit. And note here that the team is a little bit more consistent, like we can stay alive a little bit longer thanks to all the buffs that are appearing. But note here, when you bring a defense break, obviously your damage will significantly increase, right? So we're gonna go ahead and quit out here, because you can definitely tell buffs, they do increase damage, but not to the point where it's a significant difference. So let's go ahead and take out, these characters and put in our defense breakers so we can actually deal some heavy damage. And this just goes to show how defense breakers just make an all the more difference, but we already showcased that in the previous video. So you can see here like the fight's going on, and Mitsuki's defense break is probably the most significant one because she has one of the highest defense breaks in the current like game modes that we have. It's like 100 plus, where Makoto and Jun's, theirs is like around below 100 usually. But of course, see, we dealt like 32k. If we managed to do like Makoto's UB beforehand, if I took it off of auto, obviously Kaoru would do more damage, but it's up to you how you want to do it, because when you run defense breaks at the same time, it technically breaks your other team, so it's better to run someone like a buffer so you can use more defense breaks or 2 defense breaks for other teams, and that way, your buffers can sort of balance out your teams as you're going throughout the fights, right? And right there, we get the easy wins because, that's what we're sort of expecting, 32k damage versus the 15 to 17k damage that we were pretty much dealing earlier. But let's go ahead and showcase this. This is going to be, the Google spreadsheets as always. And what's happening here is I'm showcasing like all the different units and the ones that can buff. Kokoro and Mimi Monica, these are your premier buffers. These are the ones that you normally see. You can sometimes see Chika. Chika is more situational. Note that her physical boost is one of the best. And Akari, of course, she has her magical boost on her UB. I noted like which characters, cast their UBs. Maho is actually more magic oriented, buffing wise, but she does have a defense boost as well. Yui, Suzume, and Kurume, they're not really notable. That's why I left them, not bold. Then you have characters like Hyori and Kari and Pekko and Kuka, Eriko, Suzuna, and Lima. Yori. All of these characters are fantastic when they're self-boosting themselves. So over time, they only get stronger. So it's one of the things to look into. And I also linked this just in case y'all were curious. This is very outdated, but it at least shows you like which characters will get, buffs later on down the road. Know that speed buffs, Kokoro should be on here. I'm not sure why she's not on here, but pretty much like these are characters that can do it. Then you have like, your physical buffers right here. This is something that you can look into in case you want to like see like who can actually buff. All right, it's loading properly, and then we'll do physical buffers. But this is just something that I want to showcase in case folks were curious, like, who are technically like the best buffers, what are buffers actually for. Buffers are just usually to increase your damage by 1k to 2k. And most of the time, you're going to see like, hey, use Monica when it comes to PvP. And the reason for that is because Monica is just great for overall consistency and speed. Technically, Monica is a little bit better than Kokoro, but the thing is with Kokoro is that she can survive longer, right? So we can sort of try this. We can bring Monica, but the thing is with Monica is her speed buff isn't recastable, right? So there's some situations where Kokoro would fit better just because of her tankiness, and she can recast that speed buff. But just note that Monica's speed buff, like this icon right here, you can see it. It's a little like sword with the speed, and we're probably going to get absolutely mage melted. But I just wanted to see how this team would perform. It's obviously not built for mage melt, but it's just something that I was kind of curious to see how it would do, because it's not very often that someone sets a mage melt for their defense team, and usually that's just because mage melt isn't that efficient. Obviously I lost there, but if I ran more AoE, if you run more attackers and stuff, you can definitely get the win off of mage melts. But let's go ahead and see if we can fight another team over here in Princess Arena and do a little bit better. This is very interesting. Monica with the Shori, lots of like mixed damage occurring there. 3-star Suzuna and a Kyoka, so this is going to be definitely an interesting fight against the mage melts. Let's go ahead and see how we do here. And obviously in PvP, people like to bring like Monica because her buffs are absolutely insane for the situation, especially where you're more of in a burst situation, because Monica can take advantage of how quickly the fight goes, and not to mention Monica can also help speed up your attackers. Now note that speed doesn't affect actual like animations or anything like that. it only affects the time in between skills. So when you cast your skill 1, there's a less in between time. So instead of 6 seconds, it might be 4 seconds before you cast your next skill. We got absolutely obliterated, but you know, it happens. Today's just probably not the day, but don't be afraid in case you like lose in arena, just because of the fact when you lose in arena, when you're actually doing it yourself, you don't like go down in ranks. The only time you go down in ranks is if someone defeats your defense team. So if anything, it's better to work on your defense teams in order to progress even further within, like, you know, arenas and stuff, in order to keep ranks and whatnot. But you can see here we're doing actually pretty well, considering, like, you know, this was a very high star team. You know, they had Kyoka, they had Susanna at 3 stars. So, but just note that Susanna's not really that great for PvP because she can miss and everything, and you know, her arrows, it's not the best thing in the world, unfortunately. But Susanna is an absolute queen when it comes to like PvE situations and boss situations. Hiyori, can you do the punchies? Nope. Well, not too much damage right there because Miyako got a lot of misses off. Man, we managed to tank that Anna's hit pretty well, considering the fact. Hopefully we can get through this Saren. If we can get through here and get to that Anna, we should be good. June is hanging in there. Alright, we have Kokoro, who is able to tank some of the damage from Reno. Hopefully we can take down this Reno. If we can't take down this Reno, this Hatsune might obliterate us. We got one shot here. Pretty cool to see though, because you know, you don't see often a Reno and a Hatsune, because those two together, they're absolute AoE monsters when it comes to PvP. Anyways, that is it for today's video. Hopefully you got to see what buffers are capable of. They're not like huge waves of like things that can increase your damage, but they're definitely characters that can help increase your damage just by a bit. Anyways, if you enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 17,000 followers, we'll be doing a giveaway. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.